Okay, so do you want to say anything, Stacy?
I do.
Yes, go for
So
it.
thank you. Jodie is joining us again. I love the topic of this title. So it says, back to simplicity, one person at a time. And most of us think about all the different influencers out there. And obviously Jodie is as well. And we're so thankful for all of her research that she's done on health. And she is also around Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living. So she's going to bring to us tonight how you don't have to just be an influencer to pursue Young Living as a business, as a brand partner. And there's some of this for all of us, and she's going to teach us how to get back to being simplistic and one person at a time. So here is Jodie.
Thanks, guys. All right, so here we go. I'm going to transition my brain here to business. I see some faces that I recognize. Kathleen, how are you? I love it. I love it. Okay, so I would love, actually, I know the chat's been going, but we start kind of a new chat here, is I want to know where you feel like you're struggling most right now as it relates to connecting with people, as it relates to creating relationship with people. So if you guys want to put some things in the comments, you're more than welcome to. We'll kind of unpack things as I can see them and try to multitask here, which I'm not the best at multitasking, but I think where I wanted to start with today is I'm going to kind of marry two different things that I like to talk about. So number one is really when we think about going back to simplicity, I think we can all agree that in general, we tend to overcomplicate things, but we're not really overcomplicating things because like, let's say we have a book and we're looking at 50 million things I need to do. That could be some of it for some people, I suppose, depending on the personality or the Enneagram style. But we overcomplicate things in our own brains. Like we really are our own worst enemy at times. And if we think about I kind of want to talk first about just this last year, right? So a lot has happened, actually, the last 2 years, almost 2.5 years. A lot of things have happened. And I think it's important that we also recognize and we have an awareness that things have changed. People have changed. The world has, in some instances, gone mad. And in other instances, there's been some really, really beautiful things that have come out of the last couple years. I can guarantee you that you have probably grown the most you've ever grown in the last 2 years if you have chosen to walk into growth. We have to choose that, right? Because there's a lot of, I'm going to get on a call and learn this, or I'm going to read this book and I'm going to just get all the secrets of how to build to Royal Crown Diamond. I'm going to get the magic pill, all this stuff, right? That doesn't happen though. And why does that not happen? Because we have to be willing to actually do the things, look at the hard parts of our life, kind of peek into those dark areas, right? And being willing to want to grow. But a lot of growth opportunity has happened in the last couple of years. I think some of us have maybe even put up some new boundaries that maybe we've never had before, depending on interpersonal relationships and things like that. We've probably had a lot of strength building happening too. Now, again, we can look at things that have occurred and we can blame things, we can point the finger, but if we really want to look at those things that way, in more of, I would say, like a blaming way, and I'm not saying you're blaming, I'm just saying we have different ways to look at something. I can look at this over here and go, it's all Young Living's fault. It's all this. It's this person's fault. It's the upline's fault. It's this, it's that. Or I can go, oh, hey, like this is an opportunity for me to dig in and to get stronger and to learn more about myself and to get creative and to pivot, right? So strength and awareness and critical thinking. Yeah, there's probably been some crying, some sadness, some grief, all of that stuff too, because it's been a really challenging couple years. And I think we have to also sort of have a recognition of that. So if you have felt weary in the last couple years, just say it. I feel weary. I feel tired. I don't know what to do. Like, it's okay. Honestly, saying it out loud sometimes makes a huge difference. just speaking it out loud. But now we can't sit in that place, right? The difference is we totally can't sit in that place. So we can speak it out and we can recognize it, but then we have to go, but what do I want? And who am I? What is special about me? What do I have to offer? And if you've already said to yourself in that second, well, there's nothing special about me. I'm not like this person over there, or I don't have this set of knowledge, or I don't have this set of skills. Stop it, right? Every single one of you has something to share with somebody else. There is no doubt about that in my mind. So we've got to embrace that, right? Like if we are looking at how to connect with people, if we're looking at how to get back to basics and simplicity, and we're sitting here going, well, I've got nothing special to offer, nobody wants to listen to me. Where is your state? How many of you guys okay, if you were on the call before, some of you maybe have just joined, we talked about this thing called intention, state, and action. This not only applies to healing, but this also applies very much to life and business. And here's how I wanted to share that with you. So you can have goals, right? We get taught all the time. What's your goal? How long until silver? What's your goal to Royal Crown Diamond? What's your goal of enrollments? All this goal. None of that's bad. I also challenge myself too, every day. In fact, I'm more the type of personality, I'm an Enneagram 8, if you didn't know that already, where I like to challenge myself, right? Like I don't need somebody else challenging me. I like to challenge myself, and I'm not in competition with anybody else. That's how I feel. So nothing wrong with having the goal. Okay. So you've got your intention, right? So I have this intention, I have this goal that I want to hit silver and get rise to rank, let's say. We'll use that as an example. And then you do all the action pieces to try to get there. You read all the books, you get on all the calls, you take all the furious notes, you do all of this stuff. You have everything at your fingertips of how to be successful in this business. But why are some people not successful? Anybody want to answer? Why are some people not successful? They didn't take action, belief. Okay. It's interesting. No action, no follow through. Okay. So here's what's interesting. They studied a bunch of Fortune 500 CEOs, and they asked them this very same question. What do you think is the most important to be successful? And you know what they said? Action. I mean, what they thought they were going to say was action, like doing the action part was going to get you to be most successful. In actuality, what those CEOs said was state, which is belief. Okay. So your state, how you show up every day, your energy, your emotions, your belief in yourself. I love Kristen Boss. If you guys listen to Kristen Boss, go listen to her podcast. She talks a lot about belief. I'm not going to try to reinterpret it here for you. I listen to her too. But on this topic of belief, go listen to her stuff because she's spot on with it. I call belief state. So I have grown up in my business looking at intention, state, and action. And this has been a driving force for me ever since I sat down with who I would call my mentor years ago. And he put me through this process, and it was a game changer. It literally, I think I did it when I hit platinum. I'm going to tell you right now, this alone energetically is the piece that has opened up getting to Royal Crown Diamond. It has nothing to do with the action, has nothing to do with the goals that I wanted. It had everything to do with my belief and my state. So your state is how you show up every day in your head, basically. We can show up and have all the desire to do the action, we can have the checklist. And here's the thing is people write off their checklist all the time. And then they wonder, why is my business not growing? And then you start to go and you dig deeper and you dig deeper and you dig deeper, and they have the goals, they have the to-do list, they're texting their people, they're doing their project broadcast, they're sending a newsletter, they're hosting classes, whatever it is. All those things are wonderful. You'll probably see a little bit of movement with that stuff. But if you do not have the energetic connection to this process, you're only going to go so far. So 90% of Fortune 500 CEOs say it's their state, not their action, not their intention or goals, right? So all three are important, but 90% of your time should be in state. Then the other pieces fall in line, right? Because guess what? I can show up with a really crappy attitude, which I have before, or I've had a really bad day or something some drama I saw on Instagram or 50 million people sent me in my DMs ruins my state. You guys know what I'm talking about, okay? That is how important your state is. It changes in a heartbeat based off of what you read, what you hear, what you see, what you tell yourself. So insulate yourself. And I don't mean insulate yourself like don't talk to people. I mean, that alone, if you nourish your state every day, you will see phenomenal things happen in your business. Okay. We talk a lot about mindset in this business, and yeah, mindset is super important. Like that really is definitely a cornerstone to things, but think of it more in terms of your belief in your state. Now, I understand right now that belief might be a little bit low, right? Are any of you feeling like, gosh, I don't know about the state of things right now. I'm not so sure. Come on, admit it. Anybody in there in the chat, admit it if your belief is a little low right now. And your belief could be low for a lot of different reasons. It could be drama happening. It could be, pointing the finger at Young Living for a website or whatever it is. It could be this person didn't get their order on time. It could be whatever it is, right? Yes, there's no doubt that things that happen and occur can chip away at our belief little by little by little, right? But we have to come back to center and always go, okay, but where is my belief? Okay, I'm telling you right now, listen, we've been through some gnarly websites. I mean, those of you who've been around for 8 or 9 years, you get my drift on that, right? But guess what? You can't beat our products. You can't touch our products. Where's your belief in that? Where's your belief in what this product will do for somebody else? And how are you expressing that? Or are you showing up every day going, yeah, I'm so sorry, the website kind of sucks. Like this is happening, that's happening, right? And then 10 minutes down the road, you're like, oh yeah, but this Super B is like so cool and it's awesome and it's going to give you all kinds of energy. No, that's not having belief in your product. That's not. So where like the belief in the product, that never changes. The belief in what this can offer people, that never changes. You guys, listen, we don't live in a perfect world. I've been through so many things in 8 years of doing this. I could write a whole nother book on it. But you know what? The core parts of this business are unchanged. This is the best business model, hands down. This is the best product, hands down. This is the best culture and community, hands down. Do you believe in that? Do you, at the end of the day, fully believe in that? And I promise you that if you do, all of a sudden, when these little things start to come, and sometimes they feel like really big things, you're like, please stop sending me that article. Like, I get it. But you know what? It doesn't faze you anymore because your belief is so strong. That's where you want to get to for your business. Okay, so now that we've unpacked that, let's get into some tangibles, okay? Because I'm all about simplicity, right? Now, some of you guys have heard me already talk in various other places about something I call the 3 pillars. The reason why I want to resurface this again tonight is, number one, we have always a lot of new people listening, okay? Again, if my belief was that, yeah, I shouldn't talk about that anymore because everyone's heard it already. What about the other people that came along that didn't hear about it? What if I stopped educating in my group about sulfurzyme? That somebody's not going to hear about it, right? So like it goes back to belief again too with this. So we're going to go back to basics here with the 3 pillars, because I think this is a really good time to bring this back up to the surface, because these are tangibles. These are your action pieces. But I'm going to tell you right now that when we're going through these 3 pillars, I want you to ask yourself, where is my belief in this really? Where is my belief and my state that that person who I am friends with, or who I'm talking to, or who I'm hanging out at the gym with, or who I'm going to school board meetings with, or whatever the case is, where's my belief that I have information that could help them, that I have something that could help them? And why am I holding back on that? Okay, so the 3 pillars, let me know in the comments, by the way, if this is new for some of you guys, because I would love to know if this is a little bit newer of a topic for you. But it's always good to refresh, even if you've heard it before, because here's the thing, is I do the 3 pillars every day. This is what I do every day as a Royal Crown Diamond still, okay? So this is not, one myth I think that happens a lot in this business is we go, oh, hey, so Royal Crown Diamond, I can just sit back and do nothing. I mean, certainly you could if you wanted to, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've never sat back and done nothing. And I think that speaks volumes to the strength of the team that we have, is that's the culture that we have sewn into our team, is that you don't just sit back and do nothing. Your life may change, and that's okay. You're going to ebb and flow. And we have people that come in and come out, or they have life events happen. Absolutely. I have that too. But when we are running our business, when we are operating from a place of these 3 core concepts, and this is what we're teaching for that duplication piece that everyone loves to talk about, is got to have duplication, got to have duplication. Duplication is not necessarily me going, Danette, come on, where's your 10 enrollments? Like, that's not duplication. Okay. Duplication is actually me doing something so simple that anybody else can do it. And you can do it the rest of your life, no matter what rank you are. And that's what you do. Okay. So the 3 pillars, that's where it's coming from. And no matter what climate there is, no matter what economy there is, no matter how high inflation is, no matter what crap is going on in the world or social media, this is it. This is it. Okay. So number 1, pillar 1, I don't have slides for this. You guys can just write it down, or somebody can do it in the chat if you want, is embrace. So we call this embrace, and this is sharing with new people. So I asked in the beginning, like, hey, is anybody having challenges with like sharing with people, or what are your challenges with that? So this is going to help with that question. So for your business to grow, we need to consistently share with new people. That's a given, right? But what do? We go, well, I don't have anybody new to meet. Well, I don't go out and do things. Okay, well, that might be one of our core issues right there, is let's go meet some people in some way, right? I thought about this in 2020 when stuff started happening, and it genuinely was a reality that we had challenges getting together with people. That was a reality. Okay, some people may still have those challenges to some respect, depending on where you live, because I have a team in the Philippines, and they have a very hard time getting together with people right now still. So it's going to depend on where you are in the world. But I remember back in 2020, and I was like, you know what? I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing. Like, I'm going to figure out how I can go find people. And you know what I did? Was I kind of found my voice. Now your voice is going to be different than my voice. And I kind of took a risk and stepped out and started speaking very boldly about things. Was it a risk? Maybe some people would have considered a risk, but I just knew there was something weighing on me that was like, I can't be the only one who thinks this way. I can't be the only one who interprets stuff this way. There has to be other people. So that's how I started to meet new people back in 2020, was I went and I looked for people who had common interests. That's something anybody can do. You can do that via social media. You guys, I didn't even know how to do a reel last year. I'm just letting you know. Okay. So if anybody can learn it, I can learn it. Okay. And they're not even the greatest. So you can do social media, you can do in person. The point is, these things are here. Are you grabbing it? And are you doing it? Where's your belief in that? Where's your state, your energetic state in that? So sharing with new people, pillar 1 is actually the most important pillar that you'll ever have. And here's why. As a business, we're always going to have attrition. I would love to be here and share with you and say, you're never going to lose anybody if you're doing all the right things. I'm not going to tell you that. Every business has attrition. I go buy something somewhere, I may not go buy it there again. That's attrition for that business. It's a fact. So we are going to lose people sometimes. There's going to be some things that are out of our control. But if I stop pillar one and I stop making connections and meeting new people, I ain't going anywhere. My business is at a stalemate if I stop doing that. That's why pillar one is so important. And everybody has the ability to do that. But it's not me telling Stacy, go meet some new people. Where'd you go, Stacy? You're like, what? It's me doing it. You know what's so beautiful about the 3 pillars? It has nothing to do with what your team is doing. It has everything to do with what you're doing. And they're going to model that. They're going to replicate that. That's the duplication piece. Okay. So pillar one is meeting new people. It means that also, as we start to meet people and have a relationship with them, we earn a right to have a voice in their life. So then when it comes time that they ask you a question, you've earned that trust with them because you've shown up for them. You've been there to answer their questions. You've genuinely cared about who they are as a person, not just a sale, right? There is nothing wrong with being in sales. This is another, I would say, place where we find some blocks happen is we start to go, oh, but I don't want to sell to that person. Listen, you were sold to, you buy things all the time. We can go down that whole road, but we all know the whole salesy piece, right? The fact of the matter is if you're sowing the seeds of trust and earning a right to have a voice in someone's life, you're not going to ever feel like you're selling anybody on anything. It's, hey, this is what you need. This would be good for you. And because you've earned a right to have that voice in their life through all of that intentional work, now it's like, great, how do I get it? Give me your link kind of thing. Okay. But we have to go back to trust and having a right to have a voice in their life, or influence, basically. Think of it. And when I use the word influence, sometimes we think influencer on Instagram and I don't have a big following and all this stuff. No, we have influence in people's lives all the time. People have influence in our lives all the time. It's trust. Exactly. Michelle said trust. Yes. So trust and influence and earning a right to have voice in their life. So now, ways that we can do this to successfully build relationships is, first of all, where are we putting ourselves that we have common interests with people? Like, are we joining a Facebook group that is diametrically opposed to our beliefs and core values? Probably going to have a tough time there, my friend. Okay. You each have a unique gift of what you have to offer. You have each a unique area of your life that you're passionate about. You guys probably know what I'm passionate about. I don't need to say all the words here, but obviously some things I'm passionate about are freedom and parental empowerment and informed consent and those types of things, alongside holistic living and children and, all of that stuff, right? So if I'm putting myself in a position where I'm trying to change people and convince them to think like me, I'm going to run against roadblocks all the time. So one area I like to share with this one for pillar one is when we first moved, I kind of locked myself up in my house because here's what I did. Full honesty. I was like, we're Old Crown Diamond. We're doing great. I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to host some Zoom calls and travel a little bit and do this or that. But I had zero desire to go meet people in my community. Zero desire. That lasted about 3 months. And then I went stir crazy, right? And I may appear on a Zoom call because I can be a extroverted introvert, but I'm an introvert. I'm cool by myself, watching a movie or sitting in my home or doing something. Like I'll even go out to eat and go to movies by myself. Oh, the horror, right? Remember when we were all so insecure, it was like, oh my gosh, how could you go eat by yourself? I'm like, I don't care. right? So I'm actually an introvert, but what I knew was that we as humans are wired for connection. I'm wired for connection. An introvert is wired for connection, just in a different, unique way. So we have to have human connection. So what I did was I was like, I kind of need to start going to work out. Where do I want to go? And what would be ideal to meet some people? So I joined a CrossFit gym because that's a common interest. And usually people who are into CrossFit, not everyone, but I'm going to bet that they probably care about their health and their bodies. And so it was a great way to step into meeting somebody on common ground. So I want to challenge you today that you're going to write down 3 areas right now. Don't overthink it. This is your action piece, but then you're going to show up tomorrow with the state to marry it with, okay? Is 3 areas that you are passionate about, and you're going to find 3 areas to go meet people in those areas, okay? You're going to do it. No hesitation. So whether that's a mommy group, a gym, a Bible study, whatever, you're going to go in those 3 areas and find people. Does not have to, it's better that it's not oily. You know what? You want to know why? Because they already know oils. So it's better that it's not, right? You want to find a place that you have the ability to create trust and influence with people, to create new relationships with people, okay? All right, pillar 2, educate. Okay, so pillar 1, remember, pillar 1 is the most important, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that we trash the other 2 pillars, but without pillar 1 constantly happening at some level, and I don't mean the crazy hustle, I mean it's a sustained level of sowing relationships, right? Putting yourself in a position where you can meet people. That is the cornerstone of all of this, okay? Pillar 2, educate. So helping members in the lifestyle. Okay, so consider this loyalty rewards, or essential rewards is what it used to be called, okay? So with pillar 2, we now have customers that have come in, okay? What are we going to do with those customers? Are we going to ignore them? Are we going to expect our upline to project broadcast them? Are we going to just send them a welcome package and call it a day and hope and pray for the best that they order again? So pillar 2 is the cultivating piece, okay? This is essential that we work with existing customers and brand partners. Now, I want to just focus on customers for a second, but I also want you to remember brand partners are customers too. It's a whole separate thing for brand partners, okay? So creating relationships through open-ended questions with our customers. Like, here's the thing. People join for a variety of reasons. Number 1 is, do you know why they actually joined? Have you asked them that question? Like, hey, Danette, I'm so curious. What brought you into Young Living? Danette's going to answer the question right now in the chat. I'm going to role play with Danette right now. If Danette's still on the call. So ask that question, right? Hey, I'm so curious. And I love to use the term I'm so curious because it's very like non-diffusing. She's on her treadmill. I love it. Good job, Danette. I need to go do my Peloton after this. I'm so curious is kind of a gentle way to ask somebody a question that doesn't sound like, hey, Danette, what was the reason you joined? Right? It's like, hey, Danette, I'm so curious. What brought you into Young Living? And Danette's going to tell me why. That gives me a clue of where to start that relationship with them. Now, you may know when a customer joins with you because you've already had that conversation and you help them get started with a bundle or things like that, right? But what about the people who are in your organization that you did not enroll? What do we do with those people? Do we just expect somebody else is going to take care of them, right? So these are great ways to help open up conversations with people that are in our organizations that maybe we did not enroll, or maybe they've fallen off, or maybe they reactivated, or a whole host of issues, right? Or a whole host of situations. So asking those questions first. What brought you to Young Living? Then you're going to kind of start to know how to start educating them, right? So pillar 2 focuses on bringing people along in this natural lifestyle to build value in what we offer and what the products of Young Living has to offer, right? So you're building value in not only what you offer, where's that belief? Because you have things to offer, my friend, what your team has to offer, your community has to offer, and what Young Living has to offer. when we help people find value, okay, so I want you to take away this big word of value. Where do you shop right now because you find value in it? Where will you always go back to because you find value in it for a variety of reasons? It could be the customer service that you get. It could be the product. For me, Nordstrom. Deborah just said Nordstrom. For me, Nordstrom. I mean, I used to work there, which built a lot of belief in me for Nordstrom, but I will go back there because of what I've experienced there. Like you would have to drag me into Macy's, not to knock Macy's, but you'd have to drag me in there because if there's a Nordstrom or there's a Macy's, I'm going to go to Nordstrom. Okay. Same thing with Young Living. We are building that value through relationship and education. So members don't always know what their needs are too, by the way. Our customers don't always know what their needs are, especially when new customers come in and they actually don't really know what Young Living can do for them. I think sometimes, again, this goes to a little bit of belief, but we step back and we go, yeah, they should just know what to do because like, aren't they reading all my Facebook posts? Yeah, well, guess what? Facebook doesn't show them your posts. So there's that too. So again, what are we doing to open up that conversation with people and help to build that belief by asking open-ended questions? Who am I going to pick on? Hey, Mary Alice, I'm so curious. What did you get in your most recent order? Tell me about it. And Mary Alice is going to tell me about it. And I'm going to go, oh my gosh, did you know this is how you could use that? Did you know this is another one that you would love as well? And here's how I use it. And here's what it did for my family. That builds belief and that builds relationship and trust too, versus always sending out the mechanical robotic things like the checking of the box, right? Sent out my project broadcast, sent out my postcards. Like there's no relationship in that, guys, by the way. That's very stale. There's actually no relationship in that. They're needed. I send out letters and postcards and newsletters and all that stuff too. But where's the relationship building behind the scenes? That's where you're filling the gap. And that's what's keeping your organization going. Okay. All right. So this second pillar is really mostly successfully approached through relationships. So remember that so that we can really understand, or so the customer can understand what's in it for them. Okay. What's in it for them to have a healthy life and feel better? Can anybody answer that? What's in it for you to have a healthy life? Answer right now. I want to know. What's in it for you as a customer of Young Living? Because I guarantee you it's a lot, right? If you actually type it out, longevity. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So what is in it for them? And do they understand what's in it for them? And we're the bridge. We can't, guys, here's the other thing too, is for those of you who are a little newer to this business model, is there is the role of corporate, okay? And there's the role of the distributor or the brand partner. And then there is the customer. And I want you to think of yourself as a bridge, okay? Most of you guys are on here, I'm assuming brand partners want to grow your business, right? So let's assume we're talking from a brand partner position here, is oftentimes, especially if we've come from a corporate arena, which I came from, is we can, there's two basically players in the game. There's the corporate and there's the employee. And that's it. This model's a little bit different, but it's so beautiful with what it does, is because corporate is corporate. Now, can they always improve? Of course, any company can improve. And that's why we're here to give feedback to them and help and do whatever we need to do from a positive space, not from a complaining space, right? Is corporate delivers a product. Corporate delivers a shipment. Corporate is like the kind of the mothership in a way, right? You're the bridge. You're actually the bridge between corporate and your customers. That's you. But are you embracing that bridge? Or are we kind of like going, yeah, I did my job and that's all I need to do? No, there's so much more. And yes, so thankful for the details that corporate handles. Like Danette says, they do the detail work. They do the stuff that you don't want to do. Trust me, you get to do the fun stuff. You get to talk to people. You get to have classes. You get to build relationships. Corporate, that doesn't not what corporate does. That's what you get to do, and how amazing that is. So I want you to start to think of yourself as the bridge. You're the bridge between your customer and corporate. And without that bridge, we crumble. You are what's actually keeping this up in terms of community, stability, positivity, education, all of that stuff. Okay. So that was my little like intro to this business spiel. All right. Pillar 3. All right. So pillar 3, this is empower. All right. So this is walking people into sharing. I know some of you in the very beginning mentioned, I can't get people to share. Okay. There's a lot of reasons why some people don't share. Sometimes they don't have a belief in themselves that they can. Sometimes they don't know that they can. This would be the case of me. I was actually a member for almost an entire year before I actually knew that I could share. So I want you to think about that, because you probably have people in your organization that fit that role as well. So I didn't even know that I could share. Now, here's with pillar 3. Some people like to call it duplication. I mean, it is in a way, because we are helping people make it, we're like basically making it easy for them to share. We're normalizing it. Okay. Because I think, again, sometimes we can overcomplicate things. We can just put a lot of barriers in there for ourselves, right? So if we remove those barriers and we go and come back to simplicity of, well, how do I make it simple for people to share? How do I walk them into this? And how do I normalize sharing? So there's a few ways that we do this. Number one, again, we go back to the open-ended question. So I'll use Danette as an example again, which is maybe I'm having a conversation with Danette and she's telling me that she just ordered, let's say she just ordered, let's take a popular one. Let's just say the mascara. She ordered the mascara, right? She was like, man, I've been needing to switch my mascara for a long time. I know that these other mascaras have toxins in them and it's like right by my eye and all this stuff. So I finally did it. And oh my gosh, Jodie, this mascara is amazing. I actually layer the lengthening and the volumizing, and she's going off and telling me all this stuff. She's super excited. Are you listening for that excitement? Are we listening for it? Right? Because if I actually heard what Danette said, and I know that Danette hasn't shared with anybody yet, and she's not a brand partner yet, I'm going to go, Danette, I'm so curious. Have you considered sharing that with anybody? Right? So are we asking the question? Now, we're probably not asking that question because we go back to state and belief, right? Same thing. We don't have a belief in ourselves that we can do that. So that's got to change, right? Are we asking the questions? If you don't ask, there's a lot of people who aren't just going to magically do it, right? We're the bridge. We're the bridge. So we're going to listen for excitement or signs that somebody is ready to share. But we got to put our listening ears on. We can't be like this all the time. Oh my gosh, did you see what they just posted on Instagram? And then we go to our chat groups and we gossip about it, right? No, that's not being in a place of listening to people, right? It goes back to pillar 2, right? So you see how all these flow together. Pillar 1, bringing people in, making relationships with people. Pillar 2, cultivating those relationships, listening for what they're saying about the product, what their needs are. Pillar 3, listening for their excitement, listening to questions that they have, walking them into becoming a brand partner and making it very easy, making it very simple. They all flow together. You can't have any of them without each other, right? Think of it as just this constant cycle back and forth of all 3 pillars. One day, pillar 1 might be super high. One day, pillar 2 might be super high. One day, pillar 3 might be super high. But they're all flowing together every single day in some capacity, okay? So we're listening for that little crack to open. And then we're going to ask those questions. Okay. Pillar 3 is really just continually working in pillar 2, by the way. So if we're not working in pillar 2, we're not going to be able to have opportunity to have conversations about becoming a brand partner and about sharing with people. Okay. And here's the thing. I do this just because it's good to try to reach everybody in my organization, like sending out an email, let's say, hey, did you know you got a 10% off coupon or something? Totally. But if there's not relationship there, that's going to fall flat, right? So you're actually working in pillar 2 to create opportunity in pillar 3. So It's asking people questions. It's, another thing that I like to do in terms of making sharing very simple for people is, how do we want to have them repeat the same behavior? I want you to think about this. If we're going back to simplicity, think about like when our child does something that's really awesome. We want them to do it again, right? So we like cheer them on, we give them encouragement, all kinds of things. Kind of the same process in business, which is, what behaviors do we want to encourage? So our time, our resources should be in the behaviors that we want people to do. And I don't mean that in a robotic sense. What I mean is, if I want people to share, what am I doing to help create that behavior again? So if I have a first-time sharer, so let's say Karen, looking at Karen here. Hi, Karen. Let's say Karen enrolled her first customer. First of all, did I even notice that Karen enrolled her first customer? I hope I did, right? I want her to repeat that behavior again. That's duplication. But what am I doing to help that happen as easy as possible? What I like to do is I like to send tools to people who are like first-time sharers that help them repeat that behavior again, but makes it really simple. So I might send them, some drams, some empty drams that they could put oils in and they can share with some like sharing cards, or it could be a trifold brochure or whatever it is. Like, what do they need in order to repeat that behavior very easily so that they don't have roadblocks, right? So I do a lot of that, which is really focusing in on first-time sharers or first-time enrollers, okay? But again, that goes right back to simplicity. It's a very simple thing. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it. It can be even a digital thing. Like, there's so many ways that you can make that whole process creative of like spotlighting a first-time sharer and really encouraging them. And maybe, you know what? Can you imagine this? Send them a voice text. Oh my gosh, what if I was like, hey, Danette, it's Jodie. How's it going? Oh my gosh, I hope everything's going well with you. I remember that your son had this or that or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You could say whatever you want. I just noticed you helped your first customer get started. That's so cool. Tell me about it. What was that like? How did that happen? And I'm just going to ask her a question about it, right? They need to hear your voice. They need to hear your voice. Okay. All right. So now those are the 3 pillars, but I want to, at the very end here, call out why pillar 3 is not working with your business builders. Okay. I'm very passionate about this. It does not mean that I don't work with my business builders. In fact, we talk all the time. We have message threads. We do all kinds of things. But pillar 3 is not working with business builders in like checking the box busy work, meaning I'm not back here going, come on guys, you got this, enroll somebody, here we go. And I'm not doing any of the pillars. That's, by the way, one reason why a lot of people become stagnant is because they go into management mode. They go into management mode. So the 3 pillars has nothing to do with working with your builders. I would say 95% of your time, if you shift 95% of your time to doing the 3 pillar work and 5% of your time to like, being there for your builders, maybe having some calls, like encouraging them, maybe it's a retreat or whatever, but that's like 5%, okay? You're gonna see a massive shift in your business because most people go into management mode. And that's where things become stale, okay? Can be especially stale than when you add things on top of that we can't control. We can't control if inflation's gonna happen or if a recession's gonna happen or the economy this or politics this or the world this, but we can control where we're putting our time and energy. And business is gonna go up and down, guys. I hate to break it to you. Business always goes up and down. You're the constant. You are the constant. And the reason businesses stay through hard times is because of belief. Their people have a belief. That's why businesses make it through hard times. So That's the reality of it, is there's going to be stuff that goes on in the world that we can't control, but we can control where we're spending our time. So again, I would say pillar 4, if anything, pillar 4 would be like working with your builders and leadership development and stuff like that. But they're going to do what you do. So if you're doing the 3 pillars, if they see that you're enrolling people, if they see that you're hosting classes, if they see that you're connecting with people and having conversations, that's the behavior that they're going to replicate as well too. All right.